Hello, my name is Brenda Price. I'm the Associate State Director at AARP in Michigan. Welcome to our program today. We are so glad that you are here to join us today. This is a great opportunity to learn about notaries and ask a notary, ask her in person what it is that they do. So we really appreciate you taking the time to join us here today. Please give us an introduction to yourself. In the chat, please write in where you're from, where you're calling from in Michigan. Let us know. We'd like to know. This program is going to be Ask the Notary. AARP considers itself a valued resource and to you and your family. And notaries are a valuable resource to the community. So we are going to have Ask the Notary today. We will do an interview with one of Michigan's finest notaries. We will also have an opportunity for you to ask questions. So, again, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us. At this time, I'd like to invite our host, our guest, to join us today. Our guest notary today is Miss Deborah Lowry. Deborah, welcome to the program. It's very good to have you here today.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you for the invite. It's wonderful to be here.
And let me give you a little background on Deborah. Deborah is a Michigan Notary Public and the vice president and co-founder of the Michigan Notary Association, a nonprofit organization dedicated means that their work is intentional as they want you, the public, to know the services that notaries offer residents and how they serve residents in the state of Michigan. She has a passion for community awareness, which is why she's here today. She dedicates her time tirelessly to ensuring that Michiganders have access to reliable, accurate information about notaries, the processes, and the services. So thank you, Deborah, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about the work of a notary and your association. So the question is, what is a notary?
Okay, we're going to pop that in the chat for ask them to
no,
put that.
We're going to ask a different question of our audience. So just give us a little background on what is a notary.
Okay, so a notary is a trusted public official who is actually acting as an extension of the Secretary of State here in Michigan. So you can take a document to get notarized, and usually people go to the bank or a library. And the job of a notary, or what notaries are supposed to do, we have four main things that we're supposed to do. One is we are supposed to ensure that the person that is signing the document is who they say they are. We identify the signer. The second thing is we make sure that the signer understands what it is they're signing. We don't have to understand it. The contents of the document don't matter to us. I'm not reading people's wills and trusts and all that kind of stuff, but I want to make sure they understand that they are signing this document, that they're of their awareness. And they're doing it of their own free will. And that's another thing. If someone is being coerced, we are supposed to continue because it has to be of their own free will. And then the fourth thing we do is we issue oaths when needed. And that's based on how the document, the verbiage in the notarial block is worded.
Can you give an example of an oath?
Sure. So in a document, it may say subscribed and sworn before me. And then we would have the person raise their right hand and we would say, repeat after me. Or I would say, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the statements in this document is true to the best of your knowledge and belief, and that you're signing this document of your own free will?
Okay.
And that person needs to verbally respond, yes or no. Now, if it's a no, all bets are off. We're done. And so I have had people kind of in a joking way say, oh, no, and then it's like, all right, well, we're done. And it is not a time to be funny. It is not the laugh factory when when you're in front of a notary, serious time.
That's very interesting to note. It is not the time to have fun. It's almost like being in court, because this is a legal process that is regulated by the law, etc. Okay, that's
It
news.
is a serious matter.
That is some new information, because some of us have had, including myself, have had very limited contact with notaries. So, that's something that is an eye opener. So I know, because some of us have had limited contacts with notaries, some of us have different interpretations or thought about the role of a notary. So what does a notary do or not do? Give us truth and non-truths. And we're going to pick one truth. So audience, I want you to listen and put your response in the chat.
Okay. I don't want to be on camera saying what we do, the wrong thing. So I'll just tell you what we don't do, and what we actually do. And then they'll know.
Okay.
So one, unless a notary has been to law school, we're not lawyers. So we don't give legal advice. That's called the unauthorized practice of law.
Okay.
Although a lot of people assume that we are, and they will ask us for information. And we can't tell them, oh, you need this document, or, this is what you need to do, because we're not lawyers. Okay. We also don't provide the document. We don't fill in the documents for you. We watch you sign a document, but we don't fill that in. And then the number one thing, if this is the number one takeaway from this call, we notarize signatures, not documents. So our signature on a document means that we did those three things: identify you, make sure you know that you're signing, and that you're aware of what you're signing. And that is what our signature on a document means, that we've watched you sign the document.
So audience, you heard what she said. So did she say what they do is that they notarize what?
Let's see what they say. Let's look in the chat. I know I have some board members from the Michigan Notary Association. They're all going to they're all going to say it. Let's see.
So let's see. Put it in the chat, people. What did she say?
What do we notarize?
What do they notarize? Documents, signatures. What did she say? All right, we'll come back. We'll look.
All right. They're still typing.
They're still typing.
Yep.
So that was good information to have some clarity on that. What you actually notarize. So it's popping up in the chat.
Yeah. They were listening.
They were listening.
Good job, you guys.
Signatures and not documents.
That's right.
Because I think that people think that that's what you do. You take these documents and you get them notarized. So in order to know what you know, make the decisions about what you notarize, and where do you get your training? Where does a notary in Michigan, get their training? In the past, over the years growing up, I associated a notary with a banker. But we know that that's not true, that there are notaries in different environments. So give us a little background on how you become a notary. What makes you a notary?
Gotcha. Okay. So that's kind of a two-part thing. So to become a notary in the state of Michigan, you have to apply to the Secretary of State, the Office of the Great Seal, and you get commission. So that is what our license is called. It's a commission, and it's either for 6 or 7 years, and that depends on where your birthday falls when you get commission. Okay. Now for education, this is the primary reason that the Michigan Notary Association was formed, because there is no formal training offered by the state of Michigan. It is not mandated by the state of Michigan, but you have all these notaries. There are 113,000 notaries in the state of Michigan. Now, if you think about it as 113,000 drivers on the road that never took a driving test, isn't that kind of scary? Yes. So we wanted to make sure that notaries got an education. So what we did at the Michigan Notary Association is we took the Michigan Law of Notarial Acts, which is called MILONA, and we went through it several times. We broke it down, and our training is based on our state law.
Mhm.
So we provide training for notaries, and that's how you can get educated. The laws in every state are different. Some are kind of the same, but not exactly the same. So you don't want to go to like a YouTube and get educated, because you could be learning the laws from a different state. And if you apply it here in Michigan, that's against the law, and that puts your commission and yourself in jeopardy. So get with some state-based training to make sure that you're doing it correctly.
Okay. Okay. Now, some of the services are associated with a fee. Is that correct? Can you clarify that for us?
Yes. So if you go to a bank, let's say you bank at Bank of America, Comerica, Chase, or whatever, you could take a document in, and chances are they may go ahead and notarize it for you without a fee. That's because you're your client. But in the state of Michigan, the law says the most that a notary can charge any person is a maximum of $10 per notarization. And that's every time the notary signs and stamps. So you may have a document, the client may have a document, and they have to sign it 5 times. If I notarize it one time, that's just $10. Mm-hmm. So that is something that the general public needs to be aware of. Now, notaries are mobile. So when we come to you, we can charge a travel fee. The travel fee has to be agreed upon between the notary and the client before the notary leaves to come to the job. And that there is no set fee for a travel fee, so that can be negotiated between the client and the notary.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that's important to know. Travel fees can be negotiated.
That's right.
And a person might want to shop around to see what those fees compare. Is that likely?
It is likely. And also, just so the audience know, the residents of Michigan, it's not per document, it's not per package. You may call a notary and say, I've got a will, and they say, oh, it'll be $150. If there's only 4 notarizations, that's $40. So now you're equipped. You have the knowledge that you need when you call a notary, how to what to expect for the pricing.
Mm-hmm. That's good to know. So that $10 is per stamp.
Yeah, every time the notary. Now, when you say stamp, just so everyone is aware, the state of Michigan does not mandate the use of an ink stamp.
Oh.
However, any good notary is going to have an ink stamp. And that is because the receiving party can reject the document if it doesn't have an ink stamp. So even though our law says you don't need a stamp, you don't need an embosser, if that document gets to the receiving party, they're going to, no, get it redone. So notaries need to do the best job possible and be as prepared as possible. So they need to have an ink stamp, and they should also have an embosser. So that's another thing that your viewers, the residents of Michigan, will want to ask a notary when they're looking for a mobile notary is, do you have an ink stamp? Do you use an ink stamp?
So that's very important, because the key word was the receiving entity may require an ink stamp. Correct. And the receiving entity could be in another state where they have some different guidelines. So you want to be clear as the customer that the notary has an ink stamp.
That is correct. Notaries, it causes a hardship for the client when the receiving party won't accept the document. So again, a good notary will have all of the right tools and ink stamp.
And that could stall a process, delay something. So that's a wonderful tip to know. Really is wonderful tip. Something that, a novice, a person wouldn't think about. You think you got the
Exactly.
service, and so that's an excellent tip. You all hear that out there? So the holidays are coming.
Yes.
Holidays is a great time when families are gathering and there's so much positivity in the room. Sometimes families don't want to discuss family business at that time, but that can be a great time, especially if your children and grandchildren come in from other states. It's a good opportunity for you to get your business in order and to share your business with your family members. That can be a challenging conversation for some, but that's something that AARP that we like to suggest and recommend is that you have your business in order and that you've shared it, your financial business, your personal business with someone near and dear to you. And that includes a lot of documents. There are a lot of documents in that process, documents for your finances, documents for your health. So tell me, Deborah, give us some advice from a notary's perspective on what can be done amongst a family during the holiday season.
I am so glad you brought that up because the holidays really are a great time to, one, review your paperwork, review your documents. Your important documents like your wills, your trust, your medical power of attorney, financial power of attorney, those kind of documents. If you don't have them in place, it's a good time to get them in place. Also, it is a good time to have those crucial conversations when you're all together. So there's no miscommunication like, oh, you told Johnny this, but Paul said you said this. So have a honest conversation with everyone so everybody's on the same page. It's also a really good idea to do and have an annual review every year because there are circumstances that change. There's births, there's deaths, there's marriages, there's divorces. So having a time to review these documents annually is really good. Now, the number one thing that I would highly advise is that for your loved ones who are not driving anymore, make sure that they have up-to-date ID because a notary needs to see a current, valid, state or federally issued ID, form of ID that has their picture and their signature on it. So a lot of people think of the ID as only as a driver's license, and that is not a good way to think of your driver's license because you think driver's license is for driving. It really is, you need an identification card. So if everybody could change their mode of thinking and think about a state ID, which is a form of identification, and a driver's license is a state of ID that allows you the privilege of driving. So if grandma's not driving anymore, make sure she has a valid ID. And there's lots of ways. It's pretty easy. You could do it online. If she's sick and shut in, the state of Michigan has a mobile unit that can come out and take care of that kind of thing. So you don't have to drag grandma out in the snow to get her ID updated, but you gotta have current valid ID.
So if a person doesn't have a current ID and they come to you for services, you will deny them services if they don't have the appropriate identification.
Correct. Because the state mandates the type of ID that we can use to identify a person. So there are different forms. It could be a passport. It could be a person. There is also a credible witness is a form of ID. So that's a person that knows me and the person. So that person that knows us both will act as the ID. That's a little less common. But since there are so many notaries in the state of Michigan, chances are you might actually know somebody that's a notary. So if grandma doesn't have ID and you need her to be identified, check your Facebook, look in your phone, who's a notary. You may be able to be a credible witness.
That's a good tip, though. I mean, that's something very simple that somebody could do over the holidays is check in on their family members to see if they have current identification, because a lot of people think that once they stop driving, they don't need current identification. And it
correct.
can be challenging to pull all of that information together in the last minute. It just happened in my family recently, with a relative needing to fly another and sick relative to another state. And they did not have the current driver's license that would get you through an airport. So that had to be updated. Unfortunately, I lived in a state where I was able to get done quickly.
Okay.
But that's a nice checkbox to check when you're having Christmas dinner over the holidays, to ask some of your older members in the family, and even some of the younger ones who are not driving, do you have state ID?
Yeah. And another tip for residents in the state of Michigan, if you're over 65, your ID is free. So check the state website. If you didn't know that, here's a little tip. And your birthday is also another good time. So annually, when your birthday rolls around, it's another good time to check on your loved ones, because that's when your ID expires on your birthday. So if it's not the holiday, do it on the birthday.
All right. That's wonderful news. We have quite a few people on the line, Deborah, who are from other parts of Michigan. And so I just want to encourage you all. We have folks from Grand Rapids, Detroit, Coldwater, other communities, Adrian, Royal Oak. I want to encourage you that if you have some questions, please post them in the chat, as we're going to do a live Q&A shortly. Someone here is from Traverse City, Port Huron, and we're covering the state here, Battle Creek, Northport. So we're covering the state here. I think the information is very valuable. I especially like, the holiday information. And I just spent some time with family over the holidays. So it is a good time to talk about and take care of little things, family businesses. One of my cousins was helping another cousin review all of their expenses that come out of their automatic accounts at the beginning of the year, cable bill costs, all of those types of things. So the same thing, what you talked about, documents that need to be notarized, transactions, wills need to be updated, etc. This is a good time to look at them, see who some of the other people are. Are there people who are no longer with you that are on those documents? And so you might need to see a notary. A wonderful time to do it. But then
and one more point.
Yes.
Let somebody know where this documentation is.
Yes.
Because you can have it, and when the time comes where they need it, where do they start? So that is another important point.
Or where the key is to the lockbox, or the combination is to the safe to be able to get that information out. So that's very important. But also, now that's the positive side of the work that you do, of opportunities for families to help each other and individuals and transactions. But are there some negative things, some fraud activity that potentially happen that people need to be aware of? Particularly, this is the holiday season, when people do become victims or potential victims of a range of fraudulent activities. And I know one that I saw on your web page was about deeds, property deeds. You want to give us a little insight into that before we go into Q&A?
Absolutely. So we live in an age where fraud is rampant. And for whatever reason, there are lots of reasons why seniors are a primary target. One, some are not as tech savvy. There are some really tech savvy ones out there, but chances are there's a lot that aren't tech savvy. They usually own property, or they have money in the bank. So we at the Michigan Notary Association have been working diligently. We sit on a national board to try to figure out how to prevent deed fraud, because in the state of Michigan, even across the country, most of the reactions it's reactionary. It's not, you're not preventing it. It's all reactionary. So, or it's not preventative. So it's all reactionary. So if you were to go to our website, MichiganNotaryAssociation.org, across our menu row, there is a deed fraud alert tab. And in the state of Michigan, there's 83 counties in the state of Michigan. And we've gone through each county. There's only like 6 that don't have a deed fraud alert system. You can go to our website, scroll, look for your county, click on the county, and then sign up for deed fraud alert. What's great about deed fraud alert is it's free. And you can sign up, and anytime there's a change made to your property, or something comes through with your name on it, you will get alerted. So it's it will have already happened, but at least you're alerted soon, because a lot of deed fraud happens and then you, the property owner, don't know until you go to sell the property or refinance the property or whatnot. Like the fraud has already happened and you're not aware. It's like a silent kind of thing. You're not always aware of it. So you'll want to do it. So this is the second takeaway. Make sure you sign up if you are a property owner, sign up for deed fraud alert. I signed up for myself, my mother, my brother, and my brother actually, short story, had a rental property and he sold it. And I started getting these alerts through deed fraud alert. And I was like, calling him in a panic. And he's like, it's okay. It's okay. So I know personally that it works. So make sure you sign up for it.
So that's a good activity for families to do during the holidays when they're gathered together, particularly if the person that you're trying to assist is not tech savvy. And this can be done online. So it's a great opportunity to tag somebody in the family who is tech savvy and go to your county's website, or you can go directly to Deborah's organization's website that we put on the screen, and we'll show you again later, and pull your county and then sign up for this free service. And this has been a problem, which is one of the reasons why your counties offer it for free, because they want you to be protected. So your property is a big financial investment, and that's just one hiccup that families do not need. So that's another task that could be taken care of during the holiday gatherings or closing out your end of year business so that you start the year out fresh. So that's a very good tip. So we're going to take a few questions here. We're going to start at the top, and I'm going to ask you these questions, Deborah. From Susan Feldman. Susan wants to know, can you present a copy of a notarized Michigan power of attorney to a bank, and it can just be stamped and not be embossed?
Okay, you can present it. However, remember when I talked about the receiving party? The bank could have a policy that it has to be embossed. It has to be the original, but Michigan law says a copy of a power of attorney is just as good as the original. So that is what the Michigan law says.
Yes. Okay.
Thank
you. That answers that.
Okay.
So what was the fourth duty? This was asked at the very beginning when you went over the duties of a notary.
It was issuing the oath. That was the last thing.
It was issuing the oath?
The oath.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes. I remember that. We talked about that because that was a light bulb went off for me too. That was something, not that a lot of what you've said was not new to me, but that was interesting. Judy Crawford says, I bought a house a year ago and now would like to put it in my trust. Can I do that with a notary, or do I need an attorney?
So I am not an attorney, so I cannot give legal advice. I would suggest that you consult an attorney and decide how to do that for yourself.
Yes.
If I told you it'd be I don't know the answer. So that is the unauthorized practice of law.
I agree 100%. So this has been very interesting. Some of these questions are very interesting. Here's one that I think that bears reinforcing the question of, does a notary approve documents or sign for signatures? Clarity again on that.
Okay. So one, the contents of the document are not a notary's concern. So a notary should not be coming to read your document. All we need to know is, how does the notarial block, and that is the part like, before me on this day, blah, 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 and the name of the people, and then the notary sign and stamp at the end. It usually is at the end of the document. Mm-hmm. That part is what we need to know. The rest of the document, not our concern. And we notarize the signature. So we watch you sign, and then so after we identify you and make sure that you know what you're signing of your own free will, issue the oath, you sign, then we sign. So that is the order.
Okay.
Did that answer the question?
Yes, I think so. I think it just bears, reinforcing. Mm-hmm. Steve Ellis wants to know, if I have a document, i.e. a will or medical power of attorney, are they in good standing in another U.S. state?
So do you mean like if you got it notarized here and then you took it somewhere else? I would say as long as your document is, so again, I am not an attorney, but your documents are your documents. If they've been executed properly, I don't know why they wouldn't be. But again, the receiving party has the final say.
Yes, okay. Because different organizations may have reason to protect themselves for reasons their legal team has prescribed to them. Yeah. So
I'll give you like a quick example. So when you go to a hospital, a lot of times, like my mother recently was in like Providence Hospital, and Providence Hospital will give you a like power of attorney or a medical durable power of attorney document. It is got Providence on it, and you can have that executed. But if she then went to Corewell Health, they may not accept it. So that's an example of when it may not transfer. But if something was done by an attorney, you should be fine.
But again, you need to check with the attorney.
That is correct. Yes. Absolutely.
Yes. Harry Lee says, some documents, Harry G, I'm sorry, I mispronounced that last name. Some documents require a witness signature in addition to the person's signature. Is there an additional cost for the witness signature?
So that depends on if you are providing the witness or if a notary has to bring a witness with them. So mobile notaries will bring witnesses with them when requested, and they would absolutely charge you a fee for that, because you're utilizing someone's time. But if you have a neighbor or someone that can sign, that's between you and them. You don't have to pay them. You can get your own witness.
Okay, because that goes back to that negotiated fee for the mobile services.
Yes. And that should be a question that a notary would ask, like, does your document require a witness? Does it have a line for a witness? And am I going to provide the witness? Or are you going to provide the witness?
If you have any questions, additional questions, please add them in the comments section. I have a question here from John O'Leary III.
Okay.
I like this question. I keep copies of the items I have notarized. How long should I keep them?
Okay, John. Unless you're doing remote online notarizations, which requires the recording to be kept for 10 years, I don't know why you're keeping copies of other people's documents. I wouldn't suggest that you do that. That is not a law, and you could be putting yourself in jeopardy holding on to people's personal information. You don't need it. If you're keeping a journal, record what you've done in your journal, but I highly recommend that you do not keep people's copies of their documents.
Well, John, if you have an opportunity, you might want to clarify the question. I interpreted that different. I interpreted that you keep the copies of items that you have notarized that are relevant to you.
Okay, so in that case, absolutely have a journal. That's called a journal. You have a journal, you keep a record. I highly recommend that notaries keep a journal. The journal is going to keep you out of court a lot of times, because you're going to have, that's your documentation that shows when you were someplace, who was there with you, the type of document that you signed.
Okay, yeah. He says, I keep the signature page and a journal. Great.
Keep the journal. You don't need to keep copies of people's documentation.
Okay, that's wonderful information. I really enjoyed the opportunity to learn something here, Deborah. It's not a field that we step out into until we need to. So it's good to have this information in advance, because multiple times in your life you need a notary, and so this has been valuable information. We want to say that with the digital space that we live in, is there any process where people are asked to notarize something online? Are those services there? I mean, is that legitimate?
That's a legit thing.
Okay.
So that the process is called remote online notarization, or RON, RON for short. And it is where so for traditional pen and paper in-person signings, you are physically in the presence of a notary. When you're doing remote online, it's kind of like you and I here. We're on a platform. The platform has to be state approved. And we would notarize your document, and you and I would visit in person, online via the platform, the approved platform, and notarize your document. Ron is a great tool for people that work hours that don't allow them to get to a bank or a library, or they don't have notaries. You're in a rural area, or you're in another country visiting or whatnot, or you have multiple signers and they're not all here together. So it is a legit thing that can be used for notarizations.
Okay, so it's digital. You can go online and use notary services. And I like what you said, especially if you are have people in multiple locations, even in the same state, but still 2 hours away.
Exactly.
Makes a difference. That's good information. We have another question. What personal documents need to be notarized? From Wayne.
So Wayne, anything can be notarized. I could write down my grandma's, chicken dumpling recipe on a napkin and say I want to get it notarized. So it can be anything that you need. If you're asking me specifically about a will or a trust, again, unauthorized practice of law, I can't answer that. But if your document is prepared and you see a notarial block on there, chances are that needs to be notarized. So consult with an attorney for the legalities of it. And again, you can have any document notarized.
Okay. One question I'd like to ask, you mentioned a library as a source. So tell us some of the sources where people might unexpectedly find a notary in their community.
Gotcha. Okay. So banks, obviously, credit unions. There are also like UPS stores. Your attorneys have them. There are businesses that do business that will have notaries on staff. I would highly recommend that anyone seeking a notary ask the notary if they've had any kind of training. Again, remember in the beginning when I said there's 113,000 notaries in the state of Michigan? Not all notaries are created equal. So notaries that have taken the time to get educated, to put the work in, those are the notaries that you want to do business with.
Okay.
I would, me personally, I'm not going to a package delivery store to get my document notarized, because I know, I've seen it. We've tested the theory, and I know that they're not doing things correctly. They don't issue oaths, and actually a lot of places like banks, they've never issued oaths. So we get a lot of we've trained bank employees. We're training a lot of library notaries right now, because they see the need for notary education.
Great. You're a great resource, your organization. So that's good advice too for the person who's seeking the notary, to ask those clarifying questions.
Mm-hmm.
Don't assume.
Yep.
So do you have any other free resources that are available to the public in this sector that you would like to share?
I do. Thank you for asking.
Yes.
So on our website, the Michigan Notary Association.org, we have tons and tons of resources. Mm-hmm. So we have a blog that you can go in and read, and we try to keep that updated. We have all of our socials. So we put out content constantly because we want to educate not just the notaries, but the residents of Michigan, because they don't know. This is a thing that you might need once every 5 years. So you don't know. It's not top of mind. So we're continually training. Mm-hmm. On the second Saturday of every month, we have a Become a Notary call. So that call is for anyone that is interested in becoming a notary. We have a call open for an hour, and you can ask any question. You want to know the real nitty gritty? Jump on that call. You can ask us anything, and we'll tell you, how it is. We have a website. On our website, there's an events tab. So we have a podcast twice a month, different topics every time. We have different events. There's meetups. So our events tab is where you can go to see what we've got going on. We have training classes. We offer 4 different classes right now to educate notaries. So our website is full of free resources. There's the deed fraud. We talked about deed fraud. There's a tab for deed fraud. And there's a Find a Notary directory. So if you need a notary, you can just go to our website, click on Find a Notary directory, and then all of the notaries in our Find a Notary directory have been educated by Michigan Notary Association. So you're in good hands if you pick one. And then also we have a hotline. So our hotline is not just for notaries to call and when they're like in panic mode, but it also is for the general public. So if you have a question, if you're wondering, like, this notary just said blah, 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 is that right? Does that sound right? Call us. We want to help you. We don't want anyone to be taken advantage of, or we don't want anyone to feel like they're just out there by themselves. So that is the purpose of that hotline. And one more thing, we're also available for speaking engagements. So my co-founder, Leslie Hocker, and I are both available for speaking engagements whenever, if you have a church group or a business group or a convention coming up, we would love to get in front of your group and have a conversation.
Well, that is wonderful. You all provide a lot of services that are free and available for people to inquire about this business and making sure they're on the right path. And that's what AARP likes to offer. We want to offer resources to the community that help them to be able to live as they choose. And this really does help, because at some point in our lives, we do need a notary along the way, even along the way, all the way to the end. So I thought this was served a good purpose. And that's why I wanted to have this opportunity to have a conversation with you and share it with our larger audience, because the information is valuable. I especially like the information on your website, just to reiterate to the audience about getting the deed program for your property. Get in that free program with your county.
Yes.
Because that is a new scam and fraud, and it is live and it is happening in Michigan and other places. So you want to make sure you are protecting your property. And if you've been in your home for such a long time, you just take it for granted. This is my home. This is the documentation. I have it locked away that supports this, and that's all that needs to be done. But unfortunately, we live in a society where people try to scheme, and fraud happens. It happens, and this is just a new place where we're seeing fraud activities. So you can prevent this. So I appreciate you sharing that information. I appreciate you having it so easily available on your webpage for people to just go in and pick their county and they can sign up. That's very important in helping to protect the residents in the state of Michigan. So thank your organization for providing that for us. At this time, we're getting near the closeout. So if there are any other questions, please post them in the chat. I would like to know, Ms. Deborah, if you have any closing comments or remarks about the notary sector in the state of Michigan.
I do. So the Michigan law for notaries hasn't changed in 20 plus years. So the Michigan Notary Association is advocating for updated laws. So we are doing the work, and this is not just for notaries, it is for the residents of the state of Michigan. So when in the intro, when Brenda said we're passionate, we are passionate about empowering and educating and supporting not just the notaries, but the constituents of the state of Michigan. So I would just say, keep your eye out, because there will be, follow our page, go to our website, sign up so you can get on our mailing list, because when the time comes to vote on new notary law, me, myself, our board, my partner Leslie and I, we will be in Lansing with whoever the governor is at that time, wanting to sign. So you can be a part of helping to make change in the state of Michigan. So we're excited about that, and we're very grateful for this relationship that we have with AARP. So thank you, Brenda, for the opportunity. We love coming to the in-person events as well. Every opportunity to speak helps us grow, and we truly appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you, because the information is needed in our community and it's valuable. It provides a valuable service to the community and valuable information for us to all learn. We do have a final question from Samuel Abraham. He's asking, how do you sign online? And you talked about that, so maybe he didn't catch it all, and it's worth sharing again, because online is it relatively new?
It's been around for a while. I think it really boomed during the pandemic because you couldn't be too close a contact. But in the state of Michigan, the state has a list of approved platforms that are vendors, RON vendors. So a notary one has to get commission, a second commission. So you get your original commission, your pen and paper in person. You have to reapply to get your remote or electronic notary commission. Once you get commission, then you would use that state approved platform to notarize your document. And the platforms are going to train you, because just like, buying a new car, new pair of shoes, every platform is a little different. So you got to try it on to see what works in your budget. So that is more complex. I would highly suggest that anybody wanting to do RON know how to be a notary first, because those sessions are recorded and the recordings are kept for 10 years. So RON is not a place to start to become a notary.
What does RON stand for?
Remote online notarization.
Okay. All right.
So you don't start there. You want to start as a notary and then move into doing online.
Okay, great. We've gotten quite a few thank yous. Thank you. This exceeded expectations. Thank you for the information. So it's valuable information, and I'm glad we did this. I really appreciate you. I
Yeah.
want to thank everybody who joined us today. It's the holiday season, so enjoy your holidays. Stay safe out here on the roads. And be sure to look for other AARP virtual activities and in-person activities. If you see in the chat, you can go to aarpmi.org/events, and you can get a listing of all of our events coming up. We post them out for the month. If you are an AARP member in the state of Michigan, you can get an email twice a month about our activities. If you're not getting that email, go to your profile at aarp.org and make sure that you've checked the box that allows you to receive emails from us, and you'll get the information right in your email account. We appreciate you, and thank you very much, Deborah. And I want to thank Sadie, who's our producer on the background. The audience cannot see her, but for helping this be a wonderful show. Thank you all. Thank you for joining us. Happy holidays.
Thank you for joining.